Welcome to Overcaffeinated and Out of Effs, the podcast for burned out, career-minded moms who are ready to stop pretending everything's fine and feel like themselves again. I'm your host, Christy Amir, burnout coach for moms, licensed therapist, and mom of two. And I'm here to help you reclaim your energy, your identity, and your peace of mind. Whether you're lying awake thinking about the 87 things you didn't get done, or silently resenting the people you love most, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and not so alone. So grab your coffee, hot, cold, or day old, and let's get into it. Hey everybody, it's Christy. Welcome to Overcaffeinated and Out of Effs. In today's episode, I'd like to welcome our guest, Jolanthe de Koning. And
well done.
Thank you. I know we were just practicing it a minute ago, and with your say so, I'm going to go ahead and refer to you as Yo-Yo from here on out. I know you said that is a nickname that you go by a lot. And so Yo-Yo is an experienced yoga teacher with a sports science PhD. As a mom herself, she is passionate about helping parents squeeze in little moments of mindfulness and healthy movement. She knows exactly how stressful and demanding parent life can be. Yo-Yo has practiced yoga for over 10 years now and taught it for 8. But when she became a mom, everything changed. She used to practice yoga for at least 1 hour each morning, and then she had a baby. She lost herself, her identity, and fell into postnatal depression. Eventually, she found her way back to having 30 minutes a day of yoga, and it was the turning point of getting out of her depression. It reminded her of who she was again, it lowered her constant anxiety, and it gave her physical strength back. After this experience, she realized how tough parent life can be, how most of us don't take the time to look at our own physical and mental well-being, and how busy parents only have about 20 minutes a day to squeeze something in. From then on, she had a mission to provide realistic exercise and well-being content for overwhelmed parents. Her yoga knowledge is based on her sports science background in anatomy and physiology, her yoga teacher training, her in-person teaching experience, and her long-time home yoga practice. So, I have invited Yo-Yo here today to share her story as a working mom, and she's also going to talk a bit about yoga for the busy, overwhelmed parent. So, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Christy. It's such a pleasure. So nice to be here.
Yes, I'm so much looking forward to this conversation. And I'm wondering if you can just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe a bit about your work, your family, and just what season of motherhood you are in right now.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm originally Dutch, hence the name. But I live in England. I've been living in England for quite a long time. And I am a mom of 2. The season I'm in is a crazy one. Aren't they all pretty crazy?
Oh, yes.
But so I have my second has just turned 1 and my first is 4. So I have a 4-year-old and a 15-month-old. And yeah, it's wonderful and chaotic and draining and yeah, it's wonderful and horrible at the same time.
All the things.
All the things.
Well, and to your point, I mean, every season of parenthood has its challenges, but you are in that season where they're little, they're still all over the place, needing a lot of support.
And your back hurts because you're like having a baby on the hip all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm in that phase, and also, of course, I'm self-employed. I have a yoga business. So I'm just feeling like I'm ripped apart. I'm like, I want to spend 7 days a week on growing my business, but I want to be 7 days a week with my baby as well. So that's where I'm at the moment. And of course, getting in my own personal yoga practice, even if it's just 10 minutes when Daisy naps or whatever. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Kind of some days I feel amazingly strong, like I'm rocking it. And some days I'm like, oh.
Yes. No,
I'm not sure if I'm going to survive.
That is something we can all relate to. So before becoming a mom, yoga was a really big part of your life. And that's something I will say I don't personally have a lot of experience with yoga, but I can very much relate to just having this regular physical activity before kids, being such a big part of life, and then all of a sudden things change and you have kids and
Ah.
it suddenly becomes so hard. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk a little bit about what that time looked like for you before you became a parent and yoga was such a big part of your life, and then what changed once you had your baby.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna talk about yoga, but it could be like a hobby or what another kind of activity that really is part of your identity and your soul that you do for you. So I did, being a yoga teacher, I had a really strong yoga practice. I would do like an hour every morning, 6 days a week, which
Mhm.
sounds pretty crazy. But once you get into the rhythm, it actually fits into your life and it makes you feel really good. And we were the kind of parents, of course, that were so idealistic. We thought we're going to have a baby, but nothing's going to change. We're going to just, a baby's going to fit into our life and we're going to do everything that we're still doing.
Mhm.
So when we had our son, 4 years ago now, it was a shock. It was such a
Mhm.
shock. I should have known, but I was surprised at how I have 0 time for myself, at least for the first 6, 7, 8 months.
Mhm.
Um, how it fell mostly on the woman, actually,
Mhm.
being quite a feminist. Although I'm very health conscious and I was definitely keen to breastfeed, it's shocked me how sexist nature really is. I was like, "Wow," and I'm doing such a huge amount, and I literally, apart from the odd very gentle walk while baby napped in a sling, I did nothing for myself. You can count maybe a very short shower while your baby is screaming. That could be a bit of self-care.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I was shocked. So for that, and our first baby was perhaps quite an anxious baby, very much contact napper, wouldn't be put down. Um, Boob napping, all that lovely stuff. But
Mhm.
for a long time, for months and months and months, it drags you down. And of course, I was so used to with the yoga practice before. I'll go into the benefits of it later. But with yoga, you really become so in touch with your body. So
Mhm.
you become super grounded and centered in who you are and super kind of aware of yourself. And because I'd lost any ability to do anything consciously for myself and my mind always being looking after the baby, I lost, yeah, a bit of a sense of connection with myself. Um, and I started getting snappy. I think the spiral of depression
Mhm.
really was the fact that I wasn't in a happy place. And
Mhm.
then the way I would interact with others, for mostly my husband, I
Mhm.
would be very horrible to him,
Mhm.
because I would be like, "No, no, 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 no," like, snappy, "Ah!"
Mhm. Mhm.
Y you know, that
Yeah.
and then that would send me into a spiral of self-hatred, like, "Why am I being such a horrible person to my
Mhm.
husband?" Um, yeah, so massive negative spirals, so much so that I genuinely had some suicidal thoughts, like I was yeah, really in a bad, bad place.
Yeah.
And so that about 7 months in, still having had no, except for those gentle walks, nothing really, no time for myself, we then decided to ask, some help from a sleep training coach. And
Mhm.
it wasn't even very intense. We were just
Mhm.
teaching our little boy to nap in a cot. So we're
Mhm.
like having him in the cot, put a hand on his back until he fell asleep.
Mhm.
Um, that was the moment that I could regain a bit of yoga practice, a little bit of time to like reconnect with my core, with who I am, what my needs are. Um, and even having then like every day I would do a short practice, yoga
Mhm.
practice. And from then just the clouds started lifting. And so it was, yeah, I guess it was yoga, but it was also just having time
Yeah.
to reconnect with myself and to realize that my needs can also be met.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
every stage is gonna have its challenges, but I do think that the beginning is especially hard for so many people, so many moms,
Mm.
for all the reasons that you just said, sleep deprivation being a big
Ugh.
one. I mean, me, myself, my youngest both of my kids are bad sleepers, but my youngest son, I mean, he wasn't sleeping through the night till he was 2 years old, and that's a lot, and that
Oh.
was so much harder to deal with even than 4 years before when my daughter was going through it, and yeah, having that sleep deprivation is so, so hard, and you mentioned,
Mhm.
having postpartum depression, which, of course, a lot of moms struggle with that and postpartum anxiety, and then even when you were talking about, sort of jokingly, like, your quick shower being your
Yeah.
self-care, and that's just I think that that is something that so many people can relate to, and also is so really, if you think about it, it's so sad that our self-care is time like, a quick shower, a
Yeah.
couple minutes, that's really
Yeah.
not very relaxing because the
That's
baby
not self-care.
yeah, screaming, or,
No.
you hear people talk about getting out to the store for a couple minutes grocery shopping, like, that is that's not supposed to be our self-care, but
No.
unfortunately, that is the reality for so many moms.
Yeah.
So for you, you were able to, work with the sleep coach, get on a little bit of a better schedule, at least around naps, so you had more time for yourself, and then that's when you started to reintroduce yoga, and so
Yes.
I'm wondering, how did things change for you when you were able to start reintroducing yoga back into your life?
Well, the clouds literally lifted, it was just so part of the benefit of yoga is well, yoga means mind-body connection.
Mhm.
It doesn't actually mean flexibility or, good
Mhm.
abs or whatever. It actually means mind-body connection because we can feel so disconnected with overthinking in the brain, and that's where anxiety comes in. And when you start to ground and connect with your body, that overthinking slows down. And yeah, so that's kind of what I was what I was able to do again, regularly feel my body, um, and anxiety lessened. In the reactions to other people, you
Mhm.
become in general, even if you do a short, regular grounding yoga practice, your reactions to other people are more mellow. So in that way, I started just being more chill and not overreacting to every little thing. And yeah, so the whole dynamic just changed.
Yeah.
Probably
Mhm.
back to how I used to be. So I used to, be this cool Zen yoga
Mhm.
teacher pre baby. And my
Mhm.
husband was like, "Where is she gone?" She's back, baby. But yeah, I think it was just a huge difference.
Mhm. Well, and just a minute ago, you had mentioned, one of the key benefits of yoga, and I'm wondering, um, if you can talk a little bit more about that. In addition to, what you were just sharing, are there other key benefits of yoga that you feel like are helpful, especially for burned out working moms?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the purely physical aesthetic stuff is also nice. I mean, I'll just mention very quickly the thing feeling toned, feeling strong, that kind of feeling confident in your body. Obviously, those are all really great things and they can help you
Mhm.
feel good postpartum. But that's not what it's all about. So
Mhm.
that's a lovely side benefit. The main thing is that nervous system calming,
Mhm.
so that you're not, like I was saying how reactive I was to my husband. That was because I was in that fight or flight. So a noise drops, something drops on the floor, and you're like, "Bah!" A fight or flight.
Mhm.
And helping to do a mind body practice, such as yoga and there's other mind body practices. It's It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the chill one, and it's just through breathing deeply. So if you
Mhm.
really extend your diaphragm and breathe slowly and slowly out, that will just trigger in the body a sense of safety,
Mhm.
and a sense of, okay, I can switch on this relaxed nervous system, which means you can focus more on blood flow and on digestion and on like slow reactions,
Mhm.
rather than my body is in a dangerous situation, which I
Mhm.
think most of us feel like we're in.
Mhm.
Most also having just had a baby, everyone will relate. You are on the high alert to danger because you
Mhm.
want to protect your baby. Even
Mhm.
in your mind, you have all these visualizations of awful things happening to your baby. So I think we're primed to be in that. The
Mhm.
world is a dangerous place. So
Mhm.
the yoga and the deep breathing and being aware of all the sensations in your body, yeah, that just helps you feel safe and grounded and
Mhm.
calm. And it extends into your whole world, into how you react to everyone around you. So yeah, so that's the key benefit is nervous system. Um, Another one I want to mention
Mhm.
is just body awareness.
Mhm.
So pain in the body is really interesting. Often, if you have a niggle or a bit of pain somewhere, we can overreact and think, "Ah, it's dangerous. I have an injury."
Mhm.
Often, when it's even not an injury, you
Mhm.
just have like a sensation. Part of the practice of a physical yoga practice is to be really aware of all the sensations in your body, to become familiar. So you know when a sensation is just a sensation and a niggle, but you also become aware of when something is serious.
Mhm.
Less likely to
Mhm.
overreact to feeling stuff in your body, um, and more likely to know when it is a real pain that you should pay attention to.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. What are some things about yoga that maybe most people don't know or they're not aware of?
Oh, okay. Some interesting ones. Just a few interesting facts people might not realize is a lot of yoga was originally designed for young boys in India.
Oh, wow.
So that means we should take every pose with a massive grain of salt. It's not necessarily meant for our anatomy.
Mhm.
So the yoga poses we do don't have to look like the textbook versions of yoga poses. For
Mhm.
example, like lotus pose, sitting with like both feet on top of your thighs.
That's good for me. I don't think I could do that.
Like 99% of people can't do that. So, like, for example, things like that, or crazy back bends, or
Mhm.
ridiculous things. Actually, there's no need to put that expectation on your body that you have to do that. And the funny thing is knowing that it was designed for very young, flexible boys
Mhm. Oh.
in India. So, yeah. So actually, taking all the physical postures with a grain of salt, realizing that it's not all about what the shape of your body looks like. It's about the intention, the breath, the moving, the becoming aware of your body. So whatever the shape looks like, you're doing yoga. You're not only doing yoga when you're in a crazy pose.
Mhm.
So that's one thing I always want to get out there. Um, Another thing is flexibility is overrated.
Mhm. Okay, another good
Yeah.
thing.
People, yeah, I mean, I understand it's nice to feel like you got good mobility. And
Mhm.
of course, you want to have nice, like, mobility in your shoulders and in your hips. You want to feel comfortable in your body and be able to sit on the ground and get up and squat. But, like, you don't have to do the splits or put your
Mhm.
leg up like a ballerina or like crazy stuff.
Mhm.
And in fact, if you really reach for that crazy amount of flexibility, it's probably not going to be good for your body.
Mhm.
So that's one thing I want to say. Working on strength
Mhm.
and sensible mobility with yoga poses is the best kind of way to for it to complement your life, to make you have the best possible life in the most comfortable way.
Well, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking about how I know a lot of people, if they're outside of their comfort zone, it can really be a barrier to trying something new. And I think about myself, I'm about the least flexible person you can think of. And I have, explored and tried a few yoga classes here and there, but I know that there are a lot of people who that fear of not being flexible, not being able to do the poses, feeling like they're standing out compared to everybody else could serve as a barrier, to even trying some of these things. And so I'm wondering, for the moms who are thinking, I'm not flexible, I'm not calm or disciplined enough for yoga, what would you say to them to help encourage them to explore it and to try it?
Yeah, of course, that is such a huge barrier. And it's such a shame. It's the
Mhm.
least flexible people are the ones that could gain the most from this. And unfortunately, it's the most flexible people who are drawn to yoga.
Mhm.
Whereas actually, if they are like hypermobile anyway, they would be better off going to a strength training class.
Mhm.
Whereas most stiff of us need to do the mobility stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say is there's two options. So what you can do, there's so much stuff online. Do it in your own home. If you feel like you don't want to be looked at or judged, or if you feel like you might be judged, to be honest, you're never judged, but it's an internal feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Do it at home in your own safe space and really remind yourself that how the posture looks is not important. It's
Mm-hmm.
how aware you become of your body. And you've got to find the right class to help you, to support you in those thoughts. But the other path is do go to an in-person class.
Mm-hmm.
And either, you've got to find the right teacher who has the right language for it. But if you go to any in-person class, you just remind yourself that it's not about the shapes that your body makes. Like that is not the purpose of yoga. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be difficult to keep reminding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody makes a different shape. We all have a different level of stiffness in the hips and shoulders, different levels of different dimensions of how long your arms are, how long your legs are, how long your torso is. So you just have to keep reminding yourself it's not about the shapes. It's about learning how to keep breathing nice and deeply while you put your body in uncomfortable situations. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that lesson. It's once you practice and learn to stay calm and breathe deeply, even though your body is quite uncomfortable, that creates resilience in your nervous system so that the idea is when you then go out into life and you find uncomfortable other situations, whether it's mentally uncomfortable or physically, you've practiced staying calm and breathing deeply. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the point. Keep reminding yourself of what is the actual point of this. The point isn't making that beautiful triangle pose, for example.
Well, and you mentioned a minute ago that one of the things that people can do is go online. And I'm sure most people can agree that the internet being online has its benefits, such as access to information. It also has a lot of drawbacks. And I know you've said before that um, you are at times annoyed by what you see in regards to yoga on social media. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that. Like, what are some of the things that do annoy you about yoga on social media? And maybe what are some of the unhelpful myths about yoga that you are seeing or hearing online?
Yes, there's many. Um, the imagery, it's when someone thinks of yoga, they think of a really skinny, flexible woman doing this amazing back bend or doing the splits, or is it like gymnasts performing amazing physical feats? Um, and it's just like I said before, that's just not what it's about.
Mhm,
And always seeing these images make people who are less flexible think, well, that's obviously not for me.
mhm,
You know, yeah. So that's just annoying. I think the better images would be very gentle poses of people with all shapes and sizes, all skin colors, and that is coming a bit more. There is
mhm,
more diversity. There's men, there's women, there's different ethnicities, different body shapes. You do see it coming a little bit. But
mhm,
whenever I see like a super crazy pose, I think
mhm,
it's a shame. But it draws a certain audience. It'll draw the yogis who are already practicing yoga for like 10, 20 years.
mhm,
They will look at that and go, oh, I want to follow that teacher. But people just beginning are like,
mhm. Well, and then that sort of encourages what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, this idea or this belief that yoga is only for a certain type of person, and maybe adding to that barrier that's going to prevent them from even wanting to try.
yeah,
So it sounds like, just being mindful that it is the internet. You can't,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything you sort of have to take it with a grain of salt. And it sounds like just really understanding that it is more than that, right? It's
yeah.
more than just these people. And going back to what you said a few minutes ago, it's really the people who don't fit into that image that maybe would benefit from it more.
Most, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. People who can already identify with that image are probably extremely hypermobile. And, like there's like a spectrum of physical, like a natural physical ability. Some people are naturally really flexible, but they
Mhm.
will be naturally not strong. It
Mhm.
doesn't tend to coincide. And some people are naturally very stiff, but they will be stronger.
Yeah.
So the people who are naturally already hypermobile and like, oh, I can do that crazy back bend. I'm going to go to that yoga class. Like, no,
Mhm.
you need to strength train.
But, obviously, we are talking to the people who are listening are mostly burned out working moms, and you talked about
Mhm.
how your own yoga practices really changed after you became a mom. And now you focus on these realistic, short practices. And so I'm wondering, what do you see as being wrong with the advice of let's just do a 60-minute class?
Yeah. So many classes. I guess nowadays on YouTube, there are a lot of 10-minute classes, which is great. But I think a little few years ago, when I was first looking, it was always like a 60-minute class. And people might then think, well, if I can't do 60 minutes, then there's no point. Like, and
Mhm.
also when you go to a gym, classes are always like 60 minutes. It's the
Mhm.
standard class, isn't it? Whether it's a spin class or a weights or yoga. So it's like, it feels like it's the ideal time.
Mhm.
But yeah, of course, if you're at home and you're waiting for that 60-minute window to come, it's never going to come, isn't
Mhm.
it? So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's not like as a busy mom, you will never find 60 minutes. So I would say even starting with 5 minutes. So the shortest window that you can realistically find,
Oh.
um, regularly, if you do that 3 times a week or even less, just whenever you can, but eventually regularly, little yoga snacks are so
Mhm.
much more important because you will,
Okay.
rather than like once a week, a whole hour,
Mhm.
several times a week, a short session will just keep dipping you into that relaxed nervous system state more
Mhm.
regularly. And then that effect persists a little bit afterwards. So people might, yeah. So the main thing is, yeah, it
It's
doesn't have
the
to be an hour.
Well, and it sounds like it's better to have it be consistent, to do it more often, more frequently for shorter
Yeah.
periods of time than to
Yeah.
find one-hour block of time, which, to your point, may or may not come because people are so busy.
Yeah.
So if a mom only has, say, 5-10 minutes today,
Yeah.
what would you suggest she focus on?
Yeah. Great question. So a few staples I like to do. So you can either, if you're really beginner, you can start as a warm up, just like a cat cow on your knees and hands, and you inhale, arch your back, exhale, round your back. That could be a nice warm up. If you're a bit experienced, you can warm up with a sun salutation. You might know what that
Mhm.
looks like. You inhale, reach up, exhale, go down. You go into like a plank, an upward dog, downward dog. This little routine you can easily find somewhere, and it will take a few minutes just to warm up with that. And then I would always follow with some squats. We want to keep our thighs really strong as
Mhm.
mums. We're always picking up stuff from the ground. So the stronger your thighs, the more you protect your back because you do
Mhm.
less stuff with your back.
Mhm.
And then the next thing I would do is something to open your posture because we're always hunched, holding babies, pushing pushchairs, or making the snacks, sitting at the table while your children eat. You can either lie on the ground with
Mhm.
your back on a big pillow or bolster and just open your arms like you have this like a chest arching posture. That's a really chilled way of doing that. You can do a bit more of an active one. That's a king dancer pose. You might have to get a
Mhm.
picture for that. But it's where you stand holding one leg behind you, reaching one hand forwards, and you're again arching your back to open your posture. Those are just a few important ones. And then I would just try to finish with a little visualization. Just lie
Mhm.
on the ground for a minute
Mhm.
and visualize your inner. It sounds a bit cheesy, but stay with me. It's so, like you said, you can forget about who you are.
Mhm.
So visualizing your inner core, like it's okay. It's like however you want to visualize it, but maybe it's like this beautiful golden glittering light on the inside of your chest or your head or your belly. Just like, and it's purely visualization, but it just brings your awareness in
Mhm.
and you just reconnect a bit with your body and with the like the energy you have inside, even if you feel super tired. So
Mhm.
that's just very quickly. So those are a few elements. So a little warm up, some squats, something for your posture, and a visualization. And then you can leave it there. Or do
Well,
any of those by themselves.
okay. And again, those all sound like things that even all of them together, just a few minutes, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
need a whole class, really just a couple minutes, a few times a week. And that I think can be very doable for a lot of moms.
Yeah. Especially when your children are still very young. If they're
Mhm.
maybe napping,
Mhm.
naps are just a great time to do something for yourself. And I know, after age 3, unfortunately, the nap goes away.
Mhm.
I know it. But
Mhm.
when you do have that nap, one of my personal rules is I never do any housework in the
Mm.
nap time.
Mhm.
And I mean, as a consequence, our house is a bit untidy.
That's okay.
But you know what? I feel like mess is always gonna come back. But
Mhm.
consistently doing something for my health and well-being makes me such a better mum.
Mhm.
So that's my personal rule, and I invite anyone with babies to pick up that rule, or at least save the housework for after you've done a little bit for yourself. The
Mhm.
housework can be like a bonus extra, just in
Mhm.
case your baby naps long enough, but
Mhm.
don't start with the housework.
And maybe don't plan on the housework. It
Yeah,
sounds if you happen to find yourself with extra time at the end and you
yeah.
wanna do housework, not does anybody ever really wanna do housework? I don't know, but
No.
if they wanna get it done, but not make that as part of the initial plan because then
Yeah,
maybe that cuts into your time for
exactly.
doing some
Yeah.
other
But
things.
before you know it, you're like, "Okay, now I'm gonna do something for me," and the baby wakes up.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So if a mom was to start, doing some of these practices and putting this into her daily routine, especially for somebody who's new and inexperienced, how might she be able to tell if a practice is actually supporting her nervous system?
it's very subtle,
Mhm.
but in general, you'll find yourself reacting less. You'll
Mhm.
find yourself taking a pause before, like, something comes out of your mouth that you probably wouldn't want to say if
Mhm.
reflected on it.
Mhm.
You become less reactive, a bit more content. You
Mhm.
start a lot of body acceptance also happens. So in that mind body connection, you start to just own and love your body. I know it sounds super cheesy, but that just naturally happens. You become more aware. You sometimes become more intuitive of other people's feelings as well.
Mhm.
Just all that awareness just gets tuned up a little bit.
Mhm.
Awareness and grounding. In general, I mean, I say it makes me a much nicer person. So in general, I would say it makes people a nicer person.
Well, and I think that that's something that a lot of people can relate to. We talk to a lot of moms who are burned out, and that's one of the things that comes up a lot is just this difficulty staying calm, staying patient, this
Yeah.
increased irritability. And it sounds like when you are noticing all of that getting better, if you are in fact doing the yoga practices, you can trust that there's a connection between the two.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, I just want to send my love to everyone who feels that because I know what it's like. I know that like self-hatred that you can feel sometimes if you snap and say some awful stuff that you didn't want to say. Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, this has all been so wonderful. It's been so interesting for me, anyways, to listen to you talk about and really not just talk about yoga and how it can be so helpful, but to really debunk some of these myths, talk about how it really is for the average person, not necessarily the person who's super skinny, super flexible, all of those sorts of things. So this has just been really wonderful. Oh, of
Another myth I forgot to mention. Can I just mention it? Because
course.
it's so relevant to mums. So it's very common for mums to have wrist pain. I've
Mhm.
heard so many people tell me, and I had it myself as well. So your wrists after giving birth and like several up until a year later, um, first of all the joints are so flexible after pregnancy because of the pregnancy hormones. And then you're carrying your baby, especially if your baby is one of those clingy ones. you're carrying, carrying, carrying. So it's so normal for wrists to feel really sore. And a lot of people have told me, I can't possibly do yoga with planks because my wrists are always so sore. And I just want to give confidence to anyone who feels that is that it gets better. Wrists are something that you can train, just like how muscles, when you first start to use your muscle, it will be sore and then it will get stronger. The same with wrists. So, and there is a knack to it. So if you are doing stuff on your hands, you have to really activate your fingers, like you're gripping the ground. So you then train the muscles in your hands and your forearms. And over time, trust me, because I had awful wrist pain as well from carrying babies all the time. Your wrists get stronger. So don't feel like I can't ever do that. Actually, the reason that your wrists are hurting is because they're weak and you need to make them a bit stronger. So
Well,
anyway.
no, and that makes a lot of sense. And actually, as you started to talk about that, that's what I started to think about other sorts of muscles. And when you first get into really any kind of a workout or exercise routine or fitness routine, when you haven't done it in a while, like, yes, it takes a little bit of time to strengthen those muscles. And it can be difficult at the beginning, but to your point, with consistency, as you get stronger over time, those things become easier. So yes, it makes sense that that would be the case with your wrists as well. So thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
So before we start to wrap up for today, for people who want to learn more about this, who want to learn more about you and the work that you do, where can they go to do that?
Thank you. Well, I have recently rebranded. So my former business name was called Bendy Life Yoga. And I just thought, actually, why am I using the word bendy? Because like I'm saying, like bendiness is overrated.
Mhm.
It's not all about being flexible. So I'm like, okay, let's scrap that word. And
Mhm.
my new name for my yoga stuff is actually Amid the Mess Yoga, because it's all about doing it amid the chaos and mess of your life, not tidying up first, just pushing the laundry to the side, doing it right there. So
Mhm.
people can find me at amidthemess.com. That's
Mhm.
my new website. And when this goes live, that should all be working.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have for anyone who wants, I'll have a couple of freebies courses that you could get to know my style a little bit. And if you're interested, there's a big library of online classes that you can access as well. Yeah, with lots of 10 minutes, 20 minutes. There's relaxation and strength and lying down meditations for stress management and all sorts of stuff.
That sounds fantastic, and I am certainly going to go check those things out myself.
Yay! Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so if you could leave the listeners with one final message, one final piece of advice before we wrap up for today, what would it be?
That you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's
Mhm.
so cliche, but it's so true.
It's so true.
Like us mums, we give and give and give and give until there is nothing left. And that's when you become bitter and resentful and you become a
Mhm.
bitch. So, yeah, I just feel, don't, it's not selfish to fill that cup, because
Mhm.
when you're, as in self-care, as in mind-body connection, as in go out and have a nice time with your girlfriends,
Mhm.
feel something that can fill your soul and make you feel good and comfortable in your body will make you a better parent. And your
Mhm.
children will thank you for it.
Yeah.
They will, if you can be that present, emotionally grounded parent for them. And I don't want to be, this is not like shaming or putting any extra pressure on people,
Mhm.
because I've been there and I'm reactive sometimes. But I just want to say it's not selfish to fill your cup,
Mhm.
because it's so beneficial for your whole family.
Yes. No, so true. Well, thank you again so much for being here. Like I said, I
Thank you.
really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come talk to me about this. All of this I feel like was very valuable, very enlightening. I know that there are a lot of people out there like myself who don't have a lot of experience with yoga or maybe feel a little intimidated wanting to try it. So this has just been really, really wonderful. And as always, for the moms who are listening, if you also found this to be helpful or valuable, if any of these things resonate, please share this podcast with any other moms who you know might be struggling or could use some additional support, because we are all in this together.